So welcome to A Little Privacy, Please. This is the launch, the maiden voyage of our video blog interview series that's designed to be a resource for business leaders and lawyers, and really anyone who has a genuine interest in the privacy and cybersecurity space. And it's designed to help them stay on top of the ever-changing world of cybersecurity and data privacy. Through this series, we're going to sort through the alphabet soup of evolving regulations and laws, and we're going to try and shine a bright light on best practices. And we'll have the opportunity to hear perspectives from industry pros from around the United States and actually from around the world. So I'm Jason Kravitz, and I lead Nixon Peabody's cybersecurity and privacy practice. I'm delighted to introduce my colleague and friend, Jenny Holmes, and Jenny and I will be co-hosting this interview series over the course of the coming months and hopefully years. And Jenny, why don't you introduce yourself? And this is no time to be humble.
Well, thank you. I'm Jenny Holmes. I'm the Deputy Leader of Nixon Peabody's Cybersecurity and Privacy Practice, and we're really excited to be launching this series. It's funny because we've done a lot of work to prepare for this launch, but we're also trying really hard to make sure that our video series is not cookie cutter, not scripted, and we're going to try to have a little fun.
Privacy, fun, count me in. Now, Jenny, you and I know each other pretty well. We talk about 3,000 times a day, give or take. But I actually don't know what it was that brought you to start focusing your practice on privacy law. Is there some sort of a eureka moment that you had that you can share?
I actually got into privacy by accident. I was a junior associate in litigation looking to impress anyone, when one of our existing clients had a data breach come in. Now, it was 2015 when data breaches weren't as common, and the resources for attorneys to help guide our clients were far and few between and just not helpful. So I remember being tasked with helping our client through this 50-state data breach response process. You know, huge spreadsheets, sitting on the floor with highlighters, trying to color code things. But what I remember the most is the client's emotions during the whole process. They were a small family-owned business that were scared. They wanted to do right by their customers. And that's what really struck me about that first breach was the human aspect of it. You're dealing with customers of your clients who want to make sure they're doing right by their people, who want to maintain their reputation. And I found that in addition to having to comply with the law, we really need to be thinking big picture and practical. What's best for the client? What about you, Jason?
So I completely hear what you're saying about the human aspect of it. And as you know, I'm a litigator by training. Don't hold that against me. I've focused on IP litigation for the vast majority, really, of my 30-year career in the law. But I can trace my passion for privacy and cyber back to two distinct elements, one professional and one personal. So first, the professional. It was back in the early 2000s. I think it was around 2007 or 8 or something like that. But I was fortunate enough to be part of a team that was involved in litigation concerning a company called Nebuad. And Nebuad, for those of you who don't remember that long ago, was really one of the earliest companies that figured out how to monetize data exchanged over the internet. And they had software and hardware that would allow ISPs to use deep packet inspection tools to monitor email communications and web browsing sessions, all anonymized, but still doing the same thing. And they were giving marketing companies information about potential consuming habits based on that internet traffic, right? It's an idea that seems kind of commonplace today. It's something that we all accept today, but back then it was super controversial. Internet users were outraged when they figured out this was going on because there was a lack of notice and lack of disclosures. Congress got involved and there were hearings, and a bunch of lawsuits arose out of that dispute and that controversy. And ultimately, I think Nebuad was shut down in 2009. But I just remember realizing during my work on that case, at one point, sort of waking up to the indisputable fact that the world was entering into this Faustian bargain that about internet usage, right? We all want the convenience and the power of this incredible tool, but literally that comes at a price, and that price is our privacy. And most of us very willingly give up those rights, those privacy rights, on a daily, if not sort of minute by minute basis. But back then it was really the beginning of that bargain, and I found the whole thing fascinating.
You said there was also a personal event that sparked your interest. What was that?
So the personal event, that goes back probably, I don't know, 11 or 12 years. And I remember being at the office. It was actually Halloween. I remember that particularly well. And I got a call from my son, who was quite young at the time. and he told me that our home computer was frozen. He was trying to do something. And after a brief interrogation of him, he confessed that he had clicked on an email that had a link in it just before the computer started to freeze up. And so, of course, it was a ransomware attack. And I don't remember what the demand was. It was probably something like $1,000 or whatever, but there was no way I was going to pay some cyber criminal anything in order to get our photos back. And that's what wound up happening. We wound up losing a bunch of photos that had been encrypted, some of which we could replicate through different media we'd stored them on. But we definitely lost some pictures. And I remember my son feeling absolutely terrible. I remember feeling sort of vulnerable, like you do when you're the victim of any kind of crime like this. But it was a really powerful moment because I just felt helpless. And I remember kind of saying to myself that this is not going to go away. This was the beginning of what I knew was going to be a wave of cyber attacks and cyber crime. And of course, I don't think I was particularly prescient at the time, but it has turned out to be the case, right? That was just the beginning of what has become this enormous wave, this tsunami of cyber attacks, and whether it's ransomware or other types or other forms of cyber attacks, our clients are seeing these on a daily basis. And this, again, back 11, 12 years ago when this happened to my son, I remember just acknowledging that this was going to be a very big deal. And it fascinated me. It sort of freaked me out and made me angry. All these different emotions were at play, but it was something I knew that I wanted to get involved in.
Well, thank goodness for your son, right? I mean, who knows? If he had it, you might never have gotten involved in this area of law.
It's so true. I owe him a debt of gratitude, but let's not share that with him, right?
Hopefully he's not watching.
Exactly. Well, the computer's still frozen, so we're good there.
What do you think viewers can expect to learn from this video series?
I'm hoping a lot. I mean, these are going to be short. These are going to be like 3 or 4 minutes each. So we're not going to have time to really drill down and get deep into the weeds on any particular topic. But I'm confident that we're going to be able to stay relevant and give people information about things that they're genuinely interested in, things that they're seeing in their professional lives, things that they're seeing in their specific jurisdictions, in their geographies, and in their practice areas. So I think this is going to really help give people some better sense of larger issues that'll hopefully give them some sense of comfort, because I'm sure you agree with me on this, Jenny, that cybersecurity and privacy can really be an overwhelming practice area. I mean, it's constantly changing. There's constantly new developments, and it really can be overwhelming. And what I'm hoping that our series is going to do is help people just take a deep breath and understand that there are solutions to some of these problems, and we're going to help them find those. Yeah, so I know that one of our shared goals, Jenny, is to make sure that our guests are identifying trends that they're seeing in their specific areas of expertise, or again, in their specific geographies. What kind of trends are you seeing in your practice?
So it might sound cliche, but the biggest trend that I'm seeing is change. We can't get comfortable with any privacy law that we're seeing. There are new laws all the time, amendments. I mean, think about the California Consumer Privacy Act. We thought we had it, and then just a few short years later, they uprooted it and changed it. Just this year, 2023, we're seeing 5 new privacy laws, and the lineup for 2024 is already beginning. Companies cannot get comfortable with complying with one legal regime. They have to constantly be ready to change. And I think it's going to become increasingly more important to have privacy practices and procedures that are flexible and can adapt as needed. But I think change is going to be on a much larger scale than just the US. Privacy is a global concept. It attaches to where the individual lives. And so companies who have a presence over the world are going to have to comply with all of the laws that we're seeing. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I mean, gone are the days that you could just be conversant in the EU's GDPR. It's really time that we need to dig down into the nuances of all of these laws and really figure out the best way to comply with all of them at once. What about you? What are you seeing?
Well, on the cybersecurity side, I mean, our clients are still seeing a lot of ransomware attacks. I don't know, maybe my son was the canary in a coal mine there, but the data that I've been seeing still suggests that hospitals and other healthcare organizations are attractive targets, and they continue to be attractive targets for threat actors. I think there's a perception that most hospitals don't have the resources and haven't made the sufficient priority out of cybersecurity to harden their networks, and that they have incredibly sensitive data within their networks, and therefore that may make them more willing to pay the ransom. We're also seeing those same threat actors targeting municipalities. The Wall Street Journal just a couple of weeks ago ran an article on cyber attacks imposing a real threat against local municipal water supplies. It's scary stuff, and this is obviously going to require efforts by the government, efforts by private industry, and efforts by everyone who uses a computer, uses the internet, in order to maintain vigilance and to just engage in fundamental hygiene. It's scary stuff. I'm also seeing a lot of funds transfer fraud stuff out there resulting from business email compromises, right? Sending those authentic looking emails where the threat actor has been spending some time in an email environment that he's not supposed to be in, sends out an email that looks authentic saying, by the way, when you pay your invoice, we've changed our bank, here's the new account number and routing information. Once that money is wired to the fraudulent account, it is very hard to get back. And we've been seeing a real uptick in that type of activity. So that's been keeping us busy too. And we're working with our clients to try and get that money back in those cases. The world of privacy and privacy law is so vast. We all touch on little pieces of it here and there. I'm really interested in getting the global perspective from all these different people we're going to talk to. I'm excited to get started. How about you?
I am too, but you and I might be the only nerdy ones out there. So hopefully we get a few more views. But thanks for watching. Keep an eye out in the coming weeks for our first series of interviews.
I don't think you're a nerd, Jenny.
I'm the biggest nerd.